When the news of the mind control beam broke, panic erupted through Earth's streets in riots of terror. People were horrified to learn what was coming and screamed in desperate fear. But then reporter Will Clark stumbled onto a secret, and suddenly everything changed. In the year 2247, humanity clustered together in the integrated societies of Earth, united but always watching the stars, fearing the advanced alien races that lurked in the cosmos. The brilliant Wagner were the most worrying, and when word spread, they'd built a mind control weapon. Pure dread rippled across the world. On the Wagner homeworld, scientist Oren input the final calibrations with a cold smile. Soon the beam would activate, and billions of minds would be slaves to the Wagner will. But intrepid investigator Will refused to accept that fate. The 38-year-old had received a covert tip about the Wagner plot and dug deeper than anyone else dared. As he uncovered reports, his astonished eyes read an impossible truth. The beam didn't control human minds, it enhanced them. Mental abilities thought lost to evolution suddenly surged back to the fore in test subjects. This discovery obsessed Will. He had to understand the mystery. Meanwhile, General Ironwood rallied Earth's finest in a desperate plan to stop the Wagners at any cost. A hidden lab, a daring infiltration, and a narrow escape later, and Will knew he held the key to it all. The beam was no conqueror of humanity, but a potential source of untold power, and Earth would need every scrap of that strength in the fight to come. Will burst into General Ironwood's office, a fierce commitment burning in his eyes. "General, we need to talk. Now." He slapped a stack of papers on the desk. "The Wagner beam. It's not what we thought. It doesn't control minds, it enhances them." Ironwood's brow furrowed as he scanned the documents. Dr. Evelyn Sato, the acclaimed neuroscientist at his side, peered over his shoulder. Her eyes widened. "This is incredible," she breathed. "The potential applications are staggering. Enhanced cognition, sensory acuity, physical capabilities." She looked up at Ironwood. "We need to study this further." The general nodded grimly. "Agreed, but we have to be smart about it. Controlled exposure, elite volunteers only. This could be the edge we need against the Wagner." He turned to Will. "You'll have full access to document everything. The public needs to understand what's at stake here." Thus, Project Prometheus was born. The most exceptional individuals from every field were recruited. Brilliant minds, peerless warriors, unshakable wills. Among them, Captain Jake Reese, call sign Maverick, the rebellious fighter ace. Dr. Liam Connors, physics prodigy and visionary inventor. Arya Novak, enigmatic covert operative extraordinaire. The transformations were astonishing. Senses sharpened to impossible keenness. Minds quickened to process data at blinding speeds. Bodies honed to the pinnacle of human performance. The Prometheans, as the media quickly dubbed them, became overnight sensations. Will's reports painted a picture of limitless potential, a new era dawning. But in the shadows, an insidious threat grew. Neuralinx, a powerful megacorporation, had been collaborating with the Wagner for its own sinister ends. Whispers spread of secret facilities, of an army of enhanced slaves in the making. CEO Victor Blackwood hungered for the beam, for the power to shape the future in his image. As Project Prometheus pushed forward in a race against time, the lines began to blur. Covert meetings in darkened rooms, encrypted transmissions flitting through the net. A web of conspiracy that entangled Neuralinx, the Wagner, and even members of Earth's own ruling councils. Trust became a luxury no one could afford. For the Prometheans, the weight of responsibility grew heavier by the day. The surge of power in their veins was intoxicating, but so too was the gnawing fear that even their best might not be enough. They walked a razor's edge, knowing that a single misstep could doom humanity to an eternity of slavery. Maverick cinched his flight harness and fired his grav engines. Arya vanished into the shadows of a Neuralinx black site. Liam pored over intricate schematics, brow damp with sweat, and Will watched it all, fingers flying over his keypad, a unflinching witness to the unfolding tempest. The greatest battle Earth had ever faced loomed on the horizon. The Prometheans stood tall, a shining beacon of hope, yet behind their steady gazes, a question echoed. As Project Prometheus surged forward, Its impact rippled through society like a stone cast into a tranquil pond. Dr. Elias Novak, a man who had long stood in the shadow of his daughter's covert exploits, now stepped into the spotlight. His keen sociologist's eye discerned the subtle yet profound shifts in the fabric of human interaction. Enhanced individuals, once celebrated as heroes, now found themselves the subjects of sideways glances and hushed whispers. In the gleaming towers of Neuralinks, Victor Blackwood watched the growing unease with a predatory smile. His own army of enhanced operatives, forged in secret and bound by loyalty, slipped into the cracks of power like a silent poison. Government officials, corporate executives, media moguls. One by one, they fell under Neuralinks' sway, their strings pulled by an unseen hand. Will, ever the intrepid journalist, caught the scent of something rotten beneath the polished veneer. Late nights spent hunched over his datapad, eyes strained from scouring encrypted files, yielded a truth that chilled him to the bone. Neuralinks and the Wagner, two vipers entwined in a dance of deceit. He reached out to Zara, a ghost from his past, a digital wraith with the skills to peel back the layers of secrecy. Together, they plunged into the murky depths of the net, seeking the evidence that could bring the conspiracy to light. But even as they raced against time, a shadow fell across the world. Enhanced individuals, once shining beacons of hope, now found themselves the targets of brutal attacks. Explosions rocked hidden safehouses, leaving only charred ruins and broken bodies. Whispers of fear and suspicion crept through the streets as the unenhanced masses began to turn against their once idolized protectors. Amidst the chaos, a message from an unlikely ally pierced the veil of uncertainty. The shepherd, an enigmatic figure cloaked in mystery, reached out to General Ironwood with a dire warning. The Wagner's intentions, it seemed, were far more sinister than anyone had imagined. The mind control beam, a mere tool in a grand design of subjugation and conquest. Project Prometheus found itself at a crossroads, the weight of the world resting upon the shoulders of the enhanced few. Maverick, Arya, Liam, and the others, each grappled with the burdens of their newfound abilities, the line between gift and curse blurring with each passing day. As they steeled themselves for the battle to come, they knew that the true threat lurked not only in the stars above, but in the hearts of those they had sworn to protect. Will's fingers flew across the keypad, his words a desperate race against the tide of obfuscation. The truth, he knew, was a fragile thing, easily shattered by the hammers of power and greed. But he would not be silenced, not while the fate of humanity hung in the balance. In the halls of power, a game of shadows played out, as Neuralinks' tendrils tightened their grip. The Prometheans, once humanity's brightest hope, now found themselves cast as pariahs, their every move scrutinized by a world teetering on the brink of chaos. And through it all, the Wagner watched from the heavens, their cold eyes fixed upon the prize that lay within their grasp. The board was set, the pieces in motion, and the destiny of the universe would be decided in the crucible of Earth's darkest hour. The shepherd's warning echoed in General Ironwood's mind as he surveyed the assembled team. Captain Jake Reese stood at attention, his enhanced senses already attuned to the mission ahead. Arya Novak melted into the shadows, her presence barely detectable even to her fellow Prometheans. Dr. Liam Connors fiddled with a device of his own design, its purpose known only to him. "You all know the stakes," Ironwood said, his voice low and steady. "This is our one shot at the Wagner homeworld. Get in, find Orin, and put an end to this threat." Reese nodded, his face hardened. "We're ready, sir." The wormhole jump was a nauseating blur of twisted space-time. When reality snapped back into focus, the team found themselves in a shadowy alcove on an alien world. The air hummed with an otherworldly energy that set their enhanced nerves on edge. "Move out," Reese whispered, and the strike team melded into the strange landscape. Back on Earth, Will Clark's fingers flew across his keyboard, his eyes locked on the stream of data Zara was feeding him. "My God," he breathed as the full extent of Neuralinks' betrayal unfolded before him. Victor Blackwood's face appeared on every screen in his opulent office. "Initiate Phase Omega," he commanded, a cold smile playing at his lips. "It's time we took what's ours." Across the globe, Neuralinks operatives sprang into action. Enhanced soldiers overwhelmed military bases, while infiltrators seized control of key infrastructure. The world teetered on the brink of chaos. On the Wagner homeworld, Reese's team crept through twisting corridors of living metal. They rounded a corner and found themselves face-to-face with Oren, the Wagner scientist. His alien features twisted into something resembling amusement. "Ah, the human specimens," Oren said, his voice a grating buzz. "Right on schedule." Dr. Connor stepped forward, his enhanced mind racing. "The beam. It wasn't meant to control us, was it?" Oren's laugh sent shivers down their spines. "Control? No, that was never the goal. You humans are so much more valuable as a resource to be harvested." Before the team could react, a blur of motion caught them off guard. One of their own, a soldier they'd trusted, lashed out with impossible speed. Arya crumpled to the ground, a look of betrayal frozen on her face. "No!" Reese roared, drawing his weapon. But it was too late. Oren and his Wagner guards swarmed forward, overwhelming the shocked humans. Earth's orbit bristled with the sudden arrival of the Wagner armada. Massive ships cast shadows over entire continents, their weapons primed and ready. In the halls of Earth's government, frantic debates raged. "We can't possibly stand against both Neuralinks and the Wagner," one official cried. General Ironwood's voice cut through the chaos. "Then we find new allies. We adapt. We survive." His eyes swept the room, locking with those of former rivals and adversaries. "Who's with me?" As uneasy alliances began to form, Will Clark's latest transmission reached billions of screens worldwide. The truth of Neuralinks' treachery and the Wagner's true intentions laid bare for all to see. In that moment, humanity faced a choice that would shape the fate of galaxies. The world held its breath as Will's broadcast faded from screens. In the tense silence that followed, General Ironwood's voice crackled over secure channels. "All units, this is not a drill. Wagner ships have entered Earth's orbit. Implement Protocol Omega immediately." Across the globe, military bases erupted into controlled chaos. Soldiers rushed to their stations, civilians streamed into designated shelters, and government officials huddled in fortified war rooms. The sky darkened as massive Wagner vessels cast their shadow over major cities. In a hidden bunker beneath Washington, D.C., Ironwood stood before a coalition of world leaders. His face was grim, but his voice steady. "We've prepared for this. Our best chance is to pool our resources and present a united front." The Chinese premier nodded. "Agreed. Our orbital defense platforms are at your disposal." "And our stealth submarines," added the Russian president. "They're already in position." As strategies were hashed out, Project Prometheus survivors regrouped in a secure facility. Their eyes burned with intensity as they watched footage of the Wagner armada. "We can't let them take Earth," growled Sarah Chen, her enhanced muscles coiled with tension. "Not after what they did to Jake and the others." Dr. Elias Novak stepped forward, his enhanced mind racing with possibilities. "We need more information. If we could get a message to the captured team..." Millions of miles away, Arya Novak's eyes snapped open. She found herself strapped to a cold metal table, strange machines whirring around her. The acrid smell of chemicals burned her nostrils. "Ah, the specimen awakens," came Oren's grating voice. He loomed over her, multifaceted eyes gleaming. "Your enhancements are fascinating. I look forward to dissecting them." Arya's enhanced senses picked up the muffled screams from nearby rooms. She strained against her restraints, but they held firm. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the facility. Alarms blared as smoke filled the air. Through the chaos, Arya heard a familiar voice. "Arya, hold on, we're coming!" Captain Reese burst through the door, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to take out 2 Wagner guards in the blink of an eye. Dr. Connors followed, fingers flying over a device that short-circuited the facility's security systems. As they freed Arya and the other captives, Reese's face darkened. "You need to see this," he said, leading them to a nearby laboratory. The room was a nightmare of twisted machinery and biological specimens. Arya gasped as she saw human tissue merge with Wagner technology, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. They're not just harvesting our abilities, Dr. Connors explained, his voice tight. They're trying to integrate them into their own physiology. A cold fury settled over the team as they fought their way to the hangar bay. Hijacking a Wagner shuttle, they blasted into space, setting course for the approaching armada. "We need to speak with their leader," Reese said, his teeth gritted. "End this before it begins." As they neared the massive flagship, Wagner defenses sprang to life. Energy beams lanced through space, narrowly missing their small craft. Dr. Connors' fingers danced over the controls, his enhanced mind allowing him to predict and evade the onslaught. With a bone-jarring impact, they crash-landed in one of the flagship's docking bays. Alarms blared as they sprinted through twisting corridors, fighting off waves of Wagner soldiers. Finally, they burst into a vast chamber. At its center stood a towering figure, her skin a shimmering blue-black, eyes like swirling galaxies. "I am Supreme Commander Kalara," she intoned, her voice resonating through their bodies. "You dare to breach my sanctum?" Reese stepped forward, his enhanced presence radiating defiance. "We come seeking an end to this conflict before it begins." Kalara's laughter was like grinding stone. "End it, foolish humans? Your species is nothing more than raw material for our ascension." As tensions rose, Dr. Connors subtly activated the device concealed in his palm. A wave of energy pulsed outward, causing the Wagner technology to sputter and fail. Kalara's eyes widened in genuine surprise. For the first time in eons, uncertainty crept into her voice. What have you done?" "Leveled the playing field," Connors replied, a grim smile on his face. "Now, let's talk." "Leveled the playing field," Connors replied, a grim smile on his face. "Now, let's talk." The journey back to Earth was tense. The captured Wagner ship's interior, a stark reminder of the alien threat looming over humanity. As they approached the planet's atmosphere, Captain Reese's enhanced vision picked out the glinting forms of Earth's orbital defenses, primed and ready. The UN complex in Geneva bustled with activity as diplomats from every corner of the globe converged. Secretary General Ahmad Khalil's face was etched with worry as he greeted the returning team. "Captain Reese, Dr. Connors," he said, his voice low. "I hope you bring good news. The situation is precarious." Reese's lips pursed. "We've bought ourselves some time, but the Wagner aren't backing down." Inside the cavernous assembly hall, representatives from Earth's nations faced off against the imposing figure of matriarch Vezra. The Wagner envoy's multifaceted eyes swept the room, her mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. "Your species continues to surprise us," Vezra's translator device intoned. "But make no mistake, this changes nothing. The strong consume the weak. It is the way of the universe." Dr. Connors stepped forward, his enhanced mind racing through countless scenarios. "We're offering a chance for peaceful coexistence. Our enhancements could benefit both our species." Vezra's laughter was like grinding glass. "Coexistence? You are livestock that learned to speak." As the negotiations dragged on, Arya slipped away from the proceedings. She found her father, Dr. Elias Novak, in a secluded courtyard. His eyes widened at the sight of her. "Arya," he breathed, "I didn't think you'd want to see me." "I didn't," she replied, her voice cold. "But we need to talk." Their conversation was heated, years of resentment bubbling to the surface. Elias's anti-enhancement stance clashed violently with Arya's experiences. "You don't understand what you've become," Elias pleaded. "There are groups out there, like Purity Front, who see you as abominations." Arya's enhanced senses picked up the sound of raised voices from inside the complex. She rushed back to find chaos erupting in the assembly hall. On screens throughout the room, footage played of enhanced individuals committing acts of violence against civilians. Buildings crumbled, people screamed, and at the center of it all stood figures with familiar Prometheus uniforms. "This is happening right now," a voice boomed. Victor Blackwood strode into the room, his face a mask of controlled outrage. "While we waste time talking, these enhanced menaces terrorize our cities." Reese's fist clenched. "It's a lie! Those aren't our people!" But the damage was done. Panic spread through the assembly as Blackwood's words found fertile ground in fear-addled minds. Outside, the sky darkened. Supreme Commander Kalara had evidently tired of diplomacy. Wagner ships descended through the atmosphere, their weapons glowing with barely held-back energy. General Ironwood's voice crackled over comms. "All units, this is not a drill. Engage the enemy." The air filled with the screech of missiles and the thunderous impacts of alien weaponry. Enhanced soldiers leapt into action, their augmented bodies blurring as they fought to repel the invasion. Arya found herself back-to-back with Rhys, fending off Wagner shock troops. "We can't keep this up forever," she shouted over the din of battle. As if in answer, a new transmission cut through the chaos. The screens flickered to life, showing unfamiliar alien faces. "People of Earth," a voice intoned, "we are the Resistance. For eons, we have fought against Wagner tyranny. We offer you the key to their defeat." Hope flared in Rhys's chest as he deflected another energy blast. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance after all. As the Resistance transmission faded, Dr. Connors burst into the room, his eyes wild with excitement. "I've done it," he exclaimed, holding up a sleek device. "The neutralization prototype is ready." Captain Rhys's enhanced mind processed the implications instantly. "This could turn the tide," he said, his voice low and intense. "We need to get that onto their flagship." General Ironwood's gruff voice crackled over the comm. "Rhys, I'm authorizing a strike team. You have the green light." Within minutes, Rhys stood before a group of enhanced soldiers, their bodies thrumming with barely suppressed energy. "This mission is high risk, high reward," he said, his gaze sweeping over them. "We infiltrate, we deploy, we get out. Any questions?" Silence met his words. These were Earth's best, honed to perfection by the Prometheus enhancements. They understood the stakes. Using intel provided by their new Resistance allies, Rhys's team approached the Wagner flagship in a cloaked shuttle. The massive vessel loomed before them, its hull jam-packed with weaponry. "Approaching docking bay Omega," the pilot announced, her augmented reflexes guiding them through a hail of defensive fire. With a bone-jarring impact, they latched onto the flagship's hull. Rhys led the charge, his enhanced strength ripping through the airlock. Alarms blared as they sprinted through twisting corridors, engaging Wagner defenders in lightning-fast skirmishes. Dr. Connors' voice crackled in their earpieces. "You need to reach the central power hub. The device will have maximum effect there." Rhys rounded a corner and found himself face-to-face with a towering Wagner warrior. Its mandibles clicked in anticipation as it raised a crackling energy weapon. Time seemed to slow as Rhys's enhanced reflexes kicked in. He ducked under the blast, closing the distance in a heartbeat. His augmented fist connected with the alien's carapace, shattering it like glass. "We're close," he growled, gesturing for his team to follow. They burst into a vast chamber humming with energy. At its center stood a pulsing crystal, tendrils of power radiating outward. "Now, Connors!" Rhys shouted, slamming the device into place. A wave of energy exploded outward, washing over the ship's systems. Lights flickered and died as the flagship's formidable defenses crumbled. But their victory was short-lived. Supreme Commander Kalara's voice boomed through the ship, cold fury evident even through the translator. "You dare?" she hissed. "Unleash the Vanguard!" The deck beneath their feet shuddered as heavily armored pods jettisoned from the flagship, streaking towards Earth. Rhys's enhanced vision picked out the nightmarish forms within. Wagner super soldiers, their bodies twisted and augmented beyond recognition. "General Ironwood," Rhys called over the comm, "we've neutralized the flagship's defenses, but Kalara's deploying some kind of elite force. They're heading for our major cities." Ironwood's response was grim. "Understood, Captain. We'll handle it from here. Get your team out of there." As Rhys's strike force fought their way back to the shuttle, chaos erupted across the globe. Enhanced human soldiers clashed with the Wagner Vanguard in brutal city-spanning battles. The aliens' bioengineered forms proved a match even for Prometheus-enhanced troops. In Washington, D.C., Arya led a team defending the capital. Her enhanced senses picked up the distinctive sound of Neuralink's weaponry amid the chaos. "We've got Blackwood's people mixed up in this," she shouted, deflecting an energy blast with her augmented arm. "They're targeting our leadership." A blur of motion caught her eye. A familiar face, one of Blackwood's top operatives, slipping into a secure bunker. Arya's blood ran cold as she realized their intent. "Not on my watch," she growled, sprinting after the assassin. Inside, she found Secretary General Khalil cornered, the Neuralink's agent's weapon trained on his head. Time seemed to slow as Arya's enhancements kicked into overdrive. She crossed the room in a heartbeat, her hand closing around the assassin's wrist. Bones crunched as she applied pressure, the gun clattering to the floor. "How?" the operative gasped, staring at her with wide eyes. Arya's enhanced mind raced, pieces falling into place. "Zara," she breathed. "She tipped us off. You've got a mole in your ranks, Blackwood." As the battle raged on multiple fronts, Captain Reese regrouped with Earth's leadership. His face was grim as he delivered his report. "The Wagner are pulling out all the stops," he said. "We need a game changer." Dr. Connors stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I may have something," he said, "but it's risky. We're talking about tearing holes in the fabric of reality." Reese's eyebrows shot up. "Explain." Connors launched into a rapid-fire explanation of interdimensional rifts and entities known as DIVA, cosmic forces that could potentially negate the Wagner's technological superiority. As the implications sank in, the room erupted into heated debate. Ahmad Khalil, his face lined with worry, advocated for a more cautious approach. "We cannot risk unleashing forces we don't understand," he argued. To everyone's surprise, Dr. Novak sided with a group of hardliners. "The enhanced individuals are abominations," he spat. "We should purge them along with the Wagner." Before the argument could escalate further, alarms blared. Supreme Commander Kalara's face appeared on screens throughout the complex, her alien features twisted with rage. "Enough," she hissed. "You will submit or you will burn." As if to punctuate her words, explosions rocked the city. Massive Wagner ships descended through the clouds, their weapons primed and ready. Captain Reese's eyes hardened as he watched the destruction unfold. He turned to face the assembled leaders, his eyes burning with purpose. "We're out of time," he said. "We do this now, or we don't do it at all." Without waiting for approval, he nodded to Connors. "Start the rift procedure. Arya, gather the team. We're going to give the Wagner a fight they'll never forget." Forget. The rift tore open, a jagged wound in reality. Cosmic energies poured through, bathing the battlefield in otherworldly light. The Wagner ships faltered, their weapons sputtering and dying as the Diva entities emerged. Massive, incomprehensible forms writhed in the sky, their very presence warping the fabric of space-time. Captain Reese watched in awe as the alien fleet crumbled, overwhelmed by forces beyond their comprehension. "It's working!" Dr. Connors shouted, his eyes wild with excitement and fear. But the victory came at a cost. The Diva's power was indiscriminate, tearing through both Wagner and human defenses alike. Cities buckled under the strain of reality itself, twisting around them. Supreme Commander Kalara's face appeared on screens across the globe, her mandibles clicking in fury. "You fools!" she hissed. "You've doomed us all!" With a final ear-splitting shriek, the Wagner ships turned tail and fled, disappearing into the depths of space. The Diva entities, their purpose fulfilled, faded back into the rift. In the aftermath, Earth's cities lay in ruins. Enhanced and unenhanced alike stumbled from the wreckage, shell-shocked by the cosmic battle they had witnessed. Months passed, the immediate threat was gone, but the scars remained. Captain Reese stood before a gathering of world leaders, his face grim as he delivered his report. "The Wagner have retreated," he said, "but we can't afford to let our guard down. Our victory came at a terrible price." Ahmad Khalil nodded, his eyes heavy with the weight of recent events. "And now we face a new crisis," he said softly. "Our own people." As if on cue, the doors burst open. Operative Damian Wolf strode in, flanked by a cadre of enhanced soldiers. His eyes blazed with a fervor that sent chills down Reese's spine. "We saved humanity," Wolf declared, his voice ringing with conviction. "And this is how you repay us? With suspicion and fear?" Reese stepped forward, hands raised in a placating gesture. "Damien, we're all on the same side here." Wolf's laugh was bitter. "Are we? Tell that to the Purity Front thugs attacking our people in the streets." Before Reese could respond, alarms blared. General Ironwood's voice crackled over the comm system, tense and urgent. "We've got multiple Purity Front cells mobilizing. They're targeting enhanced communities." Arya burst into the room, her eyes wild. "It's my father," she said, her voice breaking. "He's leading them." On screens throughout the complex, footage played of Dr. Elias Novak rallying crowds of angry citizens. "The Enhanced are abominations," he shouted, his face twisted with hate. "They brought this alien menace upon us." Reese's fists clenched as he watched enhanced individuals being hunted through the streets. "We need to stop this," he growled. But Wolf was already moving, his enhanced soldiers falling in behind him. "We'll handle it our way," he said coldly. "No more playing nice." As Wolf's team stormed out, Vivian Cross slipped into the room. Her face was pale, her hands shaking as she clutched a datapad. "I have information," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "About the mind control beam. It wasn't just the Wagner." The room fell silent as Cross revealed the truth. Earth's own megacorporations, driven by greed and a lust for power, had conspired with the alien invaders. The enhanced program itself had been compromised from the start. As the implications sank in, chaos erupted outside. Enhanced strike teams clashed with Purity Front extremists in the streets. Explosions rocked the city as rogue military units aligned with Wolf's separatist agenda engaged government forces. Amidst the turmoil, a new signal cut through the airwaves. An alien face appeared on screens across the globe. Not Wagner, but something entirely different. "People of Earth," the being said, its voice resonant and strange. "I am Matriarch Zyraya. We are refugees, displaced by Wagner aggression. We seek alliance with your enhanced population." Reese exchanged glances with Arya and Dr. Connors. The stakes had just gotten higher. As they rushed to respond to this new development, one thing was clear. The battle for Earth's future had only just begun. The alien transmission faded, leaving Captain Reese and his team in stunned silence. Before they could fully process Matriarch Zira's offer, alarms blared through the command center. "Multiple hostiles converging on our position," Arya reported, her enhanced senses picking up the approaching threat. "It's Wolf's people." Reese's mind focused. "Secure the perimeter. We can't let them—" An explosion rocked the building, cutting off his words. Through the settling dust, enhanced soldiers poured in, their eyes gleaming with fanatical zeal. "For a better future," they chanted, engaging Reese's team in close-quarters combat. The room erupted into chaos. Reese's fist connected with an attacker's jaw, bone cracking beneath the impact. Beside him, Arya moved like liquid lightning, her augmented reflexes allowing her to dance between opponents. "They're after the leadership," Dr. Connors shouted, ducking behind an overturned table. Reese spotted Secretary General Khalil being dragged away by two of Wolf's operatives. He lunged forward, only to be intercepted by a hulking figure. "Not so fast, Captain," Damien Wolf sneered, his enhanced form towering over Reese. Their clash was brutal and swift. Augmented muscles strained as they grappled, neither willing to give ground. Wolf's elbow smashed into Reese's ribs, cracking them even through his reinforced armor. Reese retaliated with a devastating uppercut that sent Wolf staggering. But it wasn't enough. More of Wolf's followers swarmed in, overwhelming Reese's team through sheer numbers. "Fall back," Reese ordered, realizing the fight was lost. He watched helplessly as Wolf's people dragged away, not only Khalil, but Dr. Novak as well. Hours later, in a secure bunker, General Ironwood's face was grim as he addressed the remnants of Earth's leadership. "Wolf's demands are clear," he said, his voice heavy. "Either we submit to his vision of enhanced supremacy, or he'll execute the hostages." Dr. Connors paced anxiously. "It's worse than that," he said, pulling up classified files on a nearby screen. "We've uncovered Wolf's true plan. He's modified the mind control beam technology. He intends to forcibly enhance the entire human population. The room erupted into heated debate. Amid the chaos, a priority transmission cut through. Matriarch Zyra's alien features filled the main view screen. "Time grows short," she said, her voice resonant with urgency. "Our long-range sensors have detected a massive Wagner fleet en route to your system. They will be here within days." Commander Kylara, Zyra's lieutenant, stepped into view. "We have a proposal," she said. "Your enhanced technology, combined with our own abilities, could give us the edge we need against the Wagner. We ask that you share Wolf's augmented beam with us." Reese's eyes narrowed. "You're talking about forced evolution," he said, his voice hard. "It's no better than what Wolf is proposing." "It's our only chance for survival," Dr. Connors argued, surprising everyone. "With the Wagner coming, we need every advantage we can get." The debate raged on, ethical lines blurring in the face of extinction. Reese watched as more and more of his allies were swayed by desperation. Arya approached him, her expression troubled. "Maybe they're right," she said softly. "If it means saving humanity." Reese opened his mouth to argue, but alarms blared once again. General Ironwood's voice crackled over the comm system, filled with panic. "We're under attack. Enhanced Purity Front operatives have breached the..." The transmission cut off abruptly. Reese's blood ran cold as he realized the implications. The general had been taken. As chaos engulfed the command center, a new transmission forced its way onto every screen. Damian Wolf's face appeared, his eyes burning with fervor. "You've seen where your hesitation has led us," he said, gesturing to the bound forms of Khalil, Novak, and now Ironwood behind him. "The time for half measures is over. Submit to the new order or watch your leaders die. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission cut off, leaving Earth's remaining defenders facing an impossible choice. With the Wagner threat looming and internal strife tearing them apart, the future of humanity hung in the balance. Reese's fist clenched as he surveyed the room, seeing the fear and indecision on every face. He knew that whatever choice they made, the coming hours would reshape the course of human history forever. Captain Reese's mind raced as he surveyed the chaos around him. The command center had become a battleground, filled with the sounds of conflict and the acrid smell of smoke. He knew they were running out of options. "Arya," he called out, his voice cutting through the din. "It's time for Protocol Ragnarok." Her eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed with purpose. She nodded once, then set to work, her fingers flying across the nearest console. Within minutes, a carefully crafted message blazed across every communication channel. Coordinates flashed on screens, accompanied by fabricated intelligence suggesting a weakness in Wolf's defenses. The bait was set. As predicted, Wolf's separatists and the Enhanced Purity Front cells converged on the location, each seeking to gain the upper hand. Reese led a small strike team, moving swiftly through the shadows of abandoned buildings. They reached their target, a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, they found General Ironwood, bound but very much alive. His captors, a group of scientists from Project Prometheus, barely had time to react before Reese's team overwhelmed them. "Took you long enough," Ironwood grumbled as Reese cut his bonds. Before Reese could respond, the ground shook with the impact of multiple explosions. Outside, Wolf's forces clashed with the Purity Front, each believing they had stumbled upon the other's secret base. In the ensuing chaos, a new player entered the field. Matriarch Zyra's enhanced collective swarmed the battlefield, their movements unnaturally coordinated. They bypassed the human combatants, heading straight for the warehouse where Wolf had hidden his augmented beam technology. Dr. Connors, who had insisted on accompanying the strike team, paled as he realized their true goal. "We can't let them have it," he shouted, sprinting towards the beam's control center. Reese moved to follow, but a familiar figure blocked his path. Commander Kylara stood before him, her alien features twisted into a cruel smile. "I'm afraid I can't allow that," she said, her voice filled with cold amusement. In a flash, she had Connors pinned against the wall, her strength far beyond what any of them had anticipated. "You're with them," Reese realized, his blood running cold. You're working for the Wagnir. Kylara's laugh was like shattered glass. Clever human, but you're too late. The roof of the warehouse exploded inward. Supreme Commander Kylara descended on streams of crackling energy, flanked by her elite guard. The Wagnir had arrived. Reese's team found themselves surrounded, outgunned, and out of options. The various factions that had been tearing Earth apart now stood frozen, equally shocked by this new development. In the silence that followed, Arya's voice cut through the tension. "Captain," she said, her tone urgent. "The beam. It's been tampered with." She quickly explained what she had discovered, the horrifying truth of what would happen if the augmented beam was activated. Reese's mind reeled as he processed the implications. Time seemed to slow as Reese made his decision. He locked eyes with Arya, conveying volumes in a single glance. Then, before anyone could stop him, he lunged for the beam's control panel. "No!" Kylara screamed, but it was too late. Reese slammed his hand down on the activation switch, flooding his body with unstable energies. Pain beyond imagining coursed through every cell of his being, but with it came power, raw, unimaginable power. For a brief, eternal moment, Reese touched the cosmos itself. He saw the vastness of space and time, the intricate web of possibilities that made up reality. With a thought, he shattered the beam's mechanism, scattering its components to dust. The assembled factions watched in awe as Reese's physical form began to dissolve, replaced by a matrix of pure energy. His voice, when it came, seemed to echo from everywhere and nowhere at once. "It's up to you now," he said, his words fading like mist in the morning sun. "Make it count." And then he was gone. In the stunned silence that followed, Arya stepped forward. Her face was a mask of grief and persistence as she faced the remnants of Earth's defenders and its would-be conquerors alike. "This ends now," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "We have a world to rebuild."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.